Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at assembling an OSSM, otherwise known as the Awesome. We have myself, Alex, and Kyle here, and Kyle will be the one doing the assembly, and I'll be walking him through the assembly with some hopefully helpful instructions, which should mirror pretty much exactly what you would do at home or wherever you might be building your Awesome. So the first thing, Kyle, is we're going to take the motor, and we're going to use these 4 screws and these 4 nuts to attach it to this base plate with a spacer in between the two.
All right, sounds good. So I'll put the spacer over the motor here. And then for this base plate, I'll just align it with the holes, right?
Yep, we just want to make sure the holes line up on each piece. And for this top piece, let's put it with these 2 holes in this high part towards the cables.
Okay, so just flat like that.
Yep, that's it.
All right, and it just kind of floats around, but you just have to align the holes, right?
Yeah, so you'll have to locate, I think that's a good way there is take off the piece, put the screw through, and then find that hole.
All right.
And we'll just finger tight that nut on. Don't worry about grabbing the Allen key just yet. Just make sure it catches the thread so that the screw won't fall out when you let go. And we'll move on to the next one. Repeat that with all 4 screws, and then we'll tighten them up after. All right, so now we have all those finger tight. Let's grab our 4mm Allen key, and we'll start tightening up those screws. And it's always a little tricky to describe how tight to make a screw when you don't have a real tool to measure that. But my suggestion when you're using a regular Allen key like this is to, snug enough that as tight as you can sort of go with just fingertips, but if you have to really grab that Allen key and sort of muscle it with your hand, that's probably too tight.
I'm not trying to rip it to pieces, and just whatever kind of feels like tight, like it's not going to move, but I'm also not breaking things, right? That's yeah, I think it's good. Feels
Perfect.
good to me.
All right, so now that we have the motor attached to the base plate, the next step is to take our linear rail and bearing, and we're gonna install this, but before we do that, let's put a little bit of tape on each end. You just need a few inches to make sure that your rail doesn't slide out during assembly, because trust me, it will if you don't do anything to stop that. It has happened to me many times. So now your bearing should be captive on this rail, and you won't have to worry about losing any parts.
Ooh, captive. I like that terminology.
So this part, you have to be a little bit careful with. It just requires a little finagling to get in, but we're going to take this piece here, fits in like this, and then the bearing will go on top in this space here.
The bearing being this little block right here?
Yep, so this flat block with the red and green, we're going to refer to that as the bearing.
All right. So first attach this, or it all goes together?
Yeah, so first we'll put the bearing into here to line up with these 4 holes.
Okay. So with the slidey piece on top?
Correct.
And then the flat piece on the flat inside of the thing. Okay. And then that would just go...
Yeah, that'll drop in.
Like this?
You'll just have to
that
rotate
feels
it.
Right, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that went in even better than I thought it would. So that's it. And so from here, we're going to put 4 screws in the back. Maybe if you can just show the camera that.
Okay. Oh, excuse my head.
Mind your head.
Okay, I can see them. I can see it.
Yeah, so it'll be impossible to see this on camera, but when you look down here, you can see the holes of the bearing. And we're going to use these 4 M3, those look like by 16 screws, M3 by 12 screws.
All right. Just kind of hope they fall into place there, or what?
That's it. So you take your M2.5.
Oops, wrong one.
Your 2.5 millimeter driver, and you may need to just move the bearing slightly just to get it to catch the hole.
Right. Okay. I don't know if I'm fully lined up here. Kind of hard to tell what's happening. Oh.
All right, what you're watching here is two engineers struggle to assemble this very simple to assemble device. So obviously there's a few design changes we realized we had to make after making this video. We've implemented those and it should be a smooth experience for you. We'll update the next, at the next rev, we'll update an assembly video and you can see hopefully just how much easier it is than the pain that we had to go through here.
Okay. All right, yeah, that feels good. All right.
All right, so we have some sliding motion here, and maybe just give the camera a little tour of what that looks like. Nice. So let's see if we can get these bearings in. I wonder almost if we have to do this before we tighten up that back block. We'll see if we can get them in.
All right.
So we're going to take two of the bearings over here and stack them on top of each other. And these are going to slide into this opening on each side where these holes are. And this will be what guides the belt as it goes through the actuator. And so we're going to have to take them as a stack, slide them into this gap, and then put an M5 screw down through the top. So I'll let Kyle show you how that's done.
All right, because yeah, I'm the resident expert here, hey?
Kyle has done this 0 times before, which makes him uniquely qualified to show you guys how to do this.
Okay, is it easiest assembling this way?
I think so. So I like to stack them in my fingers first,
Okay.
and then slide them in from the side while you have that screw ready at the top.
Oh man.
And that's an M5 by 20 screw. And exactly like that. So slide them in slow as you can put the screw down. Eventually you'll feel the screw go through.
All right.
And that's it.
I think I got that.
Grab your 4mm hex driver and just start screwing that into, it's going to catch directly in the base piece. You might have to push down on that one a bit to get it to start the thread.
Oh yeah,
And
it feels a little sticky.
Once you've got them tightened, just check that, so this is what they look like here, once they're installed with the screw holding them in place, and the bearings should still rotate freely. You can feel them with your finger, and that's how you know nothing bound up when you're installing them. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna suggest we put the belt in, just to have it in place, and then we'll slide the pulley onto the shaft of the motor.
All right. Now this belt came from a spool, right?
Yeah, so we cut that off of this spool, and basically whatever stroke length you need for the actuator, we're going to, so if you want 6 inches, you're going to need to cut a 12-inch piece. So however long you want to travel, add 6 inches to that, and that's how much of this belt material you'll need.
All right.
So I'll take this piece with the smooth side, slide it in like this, and now that's in the right spot, and I'll do the same here. I'll slide this piece in here. Sometimes it wants to catch itself because it's teeth to teeth, and that's okay.
Sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of teeth. You know?
And then we'll just loop it around like that. So we'll have the ends out here with the teeth against the rail, and the teeth in the middle here against the motor shaft. So now we're ready to put on...
Ooh, look, it's moving. Yeah.
The motor pulley.
Mm-hmm.
This goes on the shaft. Now sometimes inside of here there's a bit of a burr where they have these little fasteners. First of all, you want to make sure that they're not impeding, so we want to back each of these little screws out a little bit. And if there's any pieces that get stuck on as you push it through this hole on the motor shaft, maybe just take either an Allen key or a drill bit or a screwdriver and just try and work out any little pieces that make the hole not smooth, and it should go on nicely for you.
All right. So which way does it go on?
So we're going to put this with the little black screws on the bottom.
Okay. So like this.
And we just want to watch, if you can, we want to line up these black screws with the flat piece on the motor. If your motor doesn't have a flat piece, don't worry about that.
Well, you can't really turn this. Oh, yeah, you can. All right.
And if you don't get these lined up exactly, don't worry too much. It will make a nice fit on the shaft regardless.
So like this?
Yep, and that's it. And so we just want to make sure we can put this as there's some play in the direction of the shaft. We just want to line it up. Basically, we have the belt in here already. We want to line it roughly up with the belt. So if you look from the side, we just want the top of this piece to be in line with the pulleys at the bearings so that the belt travels straight.
All right, so now I just set these little tiny screws here on the side.
Yep, and these you don't have to tighten too much. This is a very tiny screw. Just use the small end of your Allen key.
Oops.
And so you can make them finger tight, but again, you don't have to crank them too hard.
Okay. Not with...
Yeah, I'd recommend just using the small end of your Allen key.
Oh, okay.
So you can
Do it
make them
like
pretty tight
this.
with your fingers, but...
Okay. Great.
All right, so we're almost there. Now we just have to attach the loose ends of the belt to the bearing rail here. And so for that, we're going to use these small pieces over here. And I'll just show roughly what these will look like. So each of these has small teeth on it that will catch the belt and will make a bit of a vise clamping action where the belt will come in here and get caught with those teeth. The belt will actually come in this side and go through a hole in this piece and right out to the other side. So you can see it's the clear path there. We'll feed the belt through here in that hole out the top. And these will sit on the rail through the holes. And when we tighten down that screw, it'll close the jaw onto the belt and hold it in place. So to do this, I would recommend, this is probably the time we'd want to take off one side of the tape where we'll put the jaw. So we'll take off the tape here and we'll put this jaw on the last screw hole. And so we're going to take this top piece here, and before we do anything, we're going to insert an M3 nut into the top. There's a hexagonal slot for it. It'll fit right in, just like that. And then we're going to feed this piece of the belt up through the top of this, this bracket.
Comme ça.
Just like that. Perfect. I leave about 1.5 inches or 3 centimeters hanging out there. And then we'll line it up with the hole and add the bottom piece with the teeth engaging the belt. And in an act of ultimate dexterity, we'll at the same time feed this screw through that whole assembly. And I don't know if you just saw that, but the nut popped out. Sometimes that will happen.
Oops.
So we'll just fit it back in that top piece. And we'll use our 2.5 millimeter Allen key to tighten that up. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And so we'll feed the belt back through this piece with the bottom and the screw and nut. And now we have the belt, a little bit of extra on each end, but the belt is very loose. And so what we're going to do is use this ability to pull through this piece to tighten the belt. And so we'll take this And with it nice and loose like this, we'll pull on this piece, wiggle it around so that this becomes nice and tight. And then we'll line up the bottom piece there and push it like that, and then we'll tighten the screw. So I'll let Kyle do that as well without me holding that in place.
Okie doke.
All right, so
We're ready.
this is it. We have fully mechanically assembled this part of the Awesome. You'll note that we still have these little tails on here. You can feel free to cut those flush once it's fully installed, or keep one of them long, maybe just for a little bit, in case you feel once you start running you want to tighten it up a little bit. Maybe it was looser than you thought. You can always do that after the fact. So maybe Kyle, show off what we've got here.
Uh-oh, it did something weird. No, it didn't. That's how it's supposed to work, right?
That's it.
Does it look a little loose to you, though?
Yeah, so I think maybe what we see here is it wasn't quite sitting on the pulley when we tightened it.
Yeah.
So this is a great reason maybe to keep a little extra there, and we can snug that up.
All right, let's snug it up right now. Looks like there's still a little bit of that, but you know, it'll do the job, right?
Yep.
Cool. Nice.
There you go. And so in a future video, we'll show the electrical wiring for this, as well as maybe some ideas. There's 2 mounting holes here, how you can get a bit of a stand set up for this guy. And we'll show some of the end attachments that you can put on here to mount, whatever accessory you might need.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle, and thanks everyone for taking a look at how to build an Awesome. Have an awesome day.
This was an awesome experience. Linearly awesome.
So thanks for checking that out. There were a bunch of small design flaws that we saw and some belt alignment with the pulley, and we'll definitely get that cleaned up for the next revision. Really excited to get that out so it's a little easier to build. Thanks for checking this out. Make sure you check out the Discord and the website. We are always happy to chat with new people and help more people build their own Awesome.